Welcome to the Global Soccer Conclave. Today, it's a big pleasure to have with us two of the main experts of the sport and conditioning world across the globe. Okay, here today we are going to talk about physical periodization and conditioning. It's for me a big pleasure to share this knowledge with Manuel Lapuente and Miguel Ángel Campos. Both of them are working actually in two of the most important clubs in La Liga, and they also have a big experience in other clubs and national teams, and have a big experience in the research world. It's Jan Esteller who are going to be the moderator of the meeting, and I have experience in the sports science because I had the bachelor in sports science, and also I have a master in high performance with sport teams with Football Club Barcelona. During my career, I started working as a coach and also having a big experience as a fitness coach. And thanks to that, I had the privilege to work at the beginning of the Smart Performance project with Manuel Lapuente as in internship, and starting for them, we have a big friendship. And I repeat, it's a big pleasure for me to have both of them. Okay, I started introducing Manuel Lapuente. Manuel Lapuente is actually the founder of Smart Performance and Sports Science, which is an international consulting, assessment, sports performance, optimization, research, and specific education. He is also working as a fitness coach, sports science, sports scientist, and actually, no more than 1 month, start working in FC Barcelona Youth Academy, developing his performance. Also is analysis and scientific consultant at Real Federación Española of Athletics, and have a lot of experience in many teams. He's a former fitness coach, performance manager, sports scientist, and sports and conditioning football in Villarreal, Real Zaragoza, Panathinaikos from Greece, Recreativo de Huelva, Getafe, Terek Grozny from Russia, Neuchâtel Xamax and Sion from Switzerland, Vanillas, Cadiz, and among others. He's also former fitness coach in other sports like ski, athletics, motorcycles in Dakar, for example, cycling, paddle, basketball, and we could talk about more and more. Also is a former lecturer of applied sports biomechanics at Lleida INEF, is a university in Lleida in Catalonia, and also is a PhD candidate from the Universidad del País Vasco, have a master in high performance in Consejo Superior de Deportes, Universidad Autónoma de Madrid, Bachelor of Physical Education from INEF Lleida, National Athletics Coach, and UEFA B Soccer Coach. Okay, and talking about research, his lines of applied research cover various areas related to sports performance, use of technology, football, athletics, basketball, methodology, and currently participates and collaborates with various organizations in different research projects. Welcome, Manu. How are you?
Welcome, Jan. It's a pleasure. I'm fine, thank you. And really pleased to be here, especially with you as a presenter, and also really grateful for the organization of the Congress to be able to share with all of you, a little piece of our work, our passion.
Thanks, Manu. Let me introduce your colleague.
Please.
Miguel Ángel Campos is a fitness coach actually working at Cadiz. Cadiz is playing the last 2 seasons in La Liga. He's also an associate professor at the Pablo Olavide University in Seville, and is a former fitness coach and assistant coach in the national team of Algeria. Then talking about teams or clubs, we could talk as a former fitness coach in Granada, Almería, Levante, Recreativo de Huelva, Racing de Santander, Real Murcia, Jerez, all of them playing in the first or the second division of Spain. He is also a PhD in sports science, master in physical and sport performance and the UPO, and master in prevention and readaptation of soccer injuries. Also is a UEFA A soccer coach and national triathlon coach. Talking also about research, his lines are related to the control of the external and internal training load, and he currently participates and collaborates in different research projects. Finally, it's so interesting to know that he is author of the book Reflections on the Theory and Practice of Training for Current Football. Okay, welcome, Miguel Ángel.
Thank you very much, Jan. Thank you for the invitation, and it's a pleasure to share this knowledge in this afternoon with you and with me, Manu, of course.
Thank you, Miguel Ángel. Thank you, Manu. Okay, as we explained, today we are going to talk about periodization and how the physical periodization is actually working in the soccer world, and the conditioning training sessions, and all above this kind of training methodologies in your knowledge area. Okay, let me start asking you about, for example, how is working or how you are trying to applying your knowledge in the strength conditioning respect to the pre-season, during the season, and after the season.
Okay, Jan, let me start with this. In fact, what we try to apply, it's a periodization model, different periodization models in which we combine and we take in account the previous work that the players have been doing or not at their home during the off season. Okay, and from this point we try to progress with different blocks of work during the pre-season, okay, in which we combine different approaches, working for the structure, the different structures, okay, related with the strength performance, but also we evolve all along the pre-season to other forms or other approaches in which we work much more close to a more functional way of applying force for what it is needed, in fact, in football. You know, basically, we are talking about different modes of locomotion. So accelerating, decelerating, changing direction, sprinting, but also the relationship with the ball. So shooting or throwing, okay, for example, or passing, whatever. Also fighting between different players with these contact situations that are usual also in football, in set pieces or like this, and also jumping. So we try always to progress from more structural work to other forms, much more applied, much more functional, okay? And we evolve depending on the individual profiles of the players, and also on the position, on the positional profiles of the player. We develop different assessments, okay, by which with them we take profit of this data, with this information in order to apply this work. So we have a collective approach, but also we try to individualize some pieces of the work, not just during the pre-season, but also later on during the in-season, okay? Basically something
okay.
like this.
Then you are talking, we are going structural to functional, and trying to apply collective to individualize.
Exactly. Also, the load periodization model, it is based on a combination, different combinations, not just a structural first and functional second, but we combine in different proportion, okay, depending on the periodization model, and we try to combine this with a more, let's say, fitness approach of football, okay? So not just on running, but on the different drills that we develop or we propose, we prescribe with the staff, okay, with the coach, in order to combine the effects of one thing and the others to try to progress week a week, okay, in order to get the better performance for the players at each moment, okay, not just when it starts the league, but also from the very first moment, taking in account the different processes of adaptation, fatigue, and all that stuff.
Okay, perfect. Then it's interesting for us because we are introducing for another question that is, okay, in a team there are many players with different characteristics and features, and with this different physical capacity or the weakness points or the strong points of each player, how do you address the individual periodization for strengths and conditioning specifically?
Okay, look, the idea is once you have some specific assessment of the players, okay, or from the players, with that stuff, we figure out this periodization model of strength and conditioning, okay, for the collective. But when applying in the concrete day, okay, this model, we introduce some differences depending on the individual profile. Let's take an example. Imagine that for any reason, we decide to work today with some squats. Okay, we are going to squat with the team. Imagine that it is like this, but we have different ways of approaching the individualization, not just based on the force velocity curve, for example, in which maybe you are going to work with 80 kilos and the other is going to work with just 40, okay, depending on his profile. But apart from that, also there are other sort of assessment that we propose, in which or by which we try to combine this approach, the force velocity approach, with others that, for example, depending on your profile, maybe you need to work much more on a full squat, okay, so a greater ROM, for example, but other profiles maybe need to do it much more faster, so less angle, less ROM, and with much more velocity on the execution. So we try to combine depending on the collective approach, but we adapt it to the individual profiles of the players. Apart from that, also we also introduce other elements on the combinations of work. That, for example, maybe we combine the squat with, I don't know, with a jump, let's say, or a movement. Okay, any other movement. That we try also to individualize it. So maybe there are some players that use much more change of directions, other maybe are working much more on deceleration patterns, and others maybe are just jumping. Imagine. So depending on the individual profiles, we try to approach with this. Also with the quantity, that sometimes we can arrive to individualize also the let's say the quantity, the volume, okay, the number of repetitions, maybe depending on the profile. If the player is a turbo player, maybe we work with less repetitions, or if it is a more DSL, let's say, maybe he's going to work not with so high load, but maybe with more reps, okay, lower load and more reps. So we can approach it depending on their profile in different ways.
Okay, then I think, and I imagine, they are so important that in that point, the evaluation period or the test you can do with the players to individualize as many as you can, as much as you can. Tell me a little bit about the physical test you are doing pre-season, during the season, and the technologies you are using in that kind.
Look, at that point, what we think it is that, and this is important to take in account, both Miguel Angel and I, we are fitness coaches. So we are close, we try to be close always with the coach, okay? and to the player. So we are on the pitch. This is important because sometimes we have seen with some colleagues and friends that are far away from the pitch that we lose this specificity and this special feeling, you know, that we need in a dressing room. Okay, but said that, the question is that sorry, the question is I have forget
about the test,
yeah,
the evaluation you are doing.
But
yeah,
our approach it is that it is important to use the test without testing approach always that it is possible. So here it enters the technology pieces known actually as EPTS or GPSs, okay, because it allows us to get information, very important information during the practices, training, and also during the games, the matches, okay, but without modifying nothing, okay, this is very important. And we complement it just with those testing or assessments that we understand we needed to have, to be able to apply a specific decision making. So we try to avoid anything that maybe it is very beautiful later on for giving a presentation, okay? But we are not taking into account for developing any decision, any special decision. So if we want to work with squatting or with some loads, maybe we need some assessment that guide us in the selection of the load, on the reps, or on the approach, okay? But also we can combine, and we do. One of our approaches it is to get the profiles of the player when training and playing during games, in order to see how they perform, and depending on how they do, what's their specific profile on that, the intermittent profile, okay, we can adapt the strength and conditioning approach on the gym, for example, or out on the pitch also, to adapt it depending their profile. Imagine a player that, I don't know, that it sprints a lot. Okay, it is a very fast player, and he performs a lot of sprints during the games, but also during the training. Imagine that this is his profile. With this sort of profile, probably we don't want to add him some extra load for sprinting because he does it a lot during training sessions and games. So he has enough. So our approach will be with this assessment, okay, it would be to try to protect him much more in order to be more resilient to the fact or to his profile in which he sprints a lot continually. But if we go to the other side, let's imagine a player who it's difficult for him to perform too much quantity of sprints during games, but especially during training. So as we know that sometimes during games, maybe he's required to perform those sprints because the game demands you that at that moment, could be a possibility. We try to propose him and to prescribe him individually because we see that with the collective methodology, he don't get it, okay? So we pick him out and at any moment that we consider the proper one, okay? In order to propose him some specific and loads directly related with the fact of being able to sprint, okay? Not for the fact of sprinting, but to prevent him to reduce the possibility of an injury, okay? That could be related with that. So this, we do it with different metrics and with different, well, depending on the specific profile, that we get it using or thanks to the use of the technology that we actually know as GPS, as EPTS, or similar.
Okay, then
one question, Jan, please.
Tell me.
Yes, well, sorry for the English. I'm going to speak in Spanish and Manu or Jan translate, okay? No, quería decir que creo que es muy importante en este punto tener la capacidad de adaptarte a la cultura de rendimiento que exista en el club o en la entidad en la que estés trabajando, puesto que todo eso es lo que va a posibilitar que tú puedas implementar determinado tipo de test o no. Entonces, en el sentido de lo que ha ido hablando Manu también, lo primero es bueno, evaluar el lugar donde estamos trabajando y segundo, seleccionar los test que en mi opinión deben ser lo más aplicados al día a día y no al, como ha comentado Manu, al tema de lo que puede ser más o menos llamativo para un paper y demás. Entonces, bueno, pues herramientas tecnológicas sencillas o más costosas, como pueden ser el GPS, como puede ser la RPE, como puede ser el wellness, nos puede dar información de testeo diario, o por ejemplo en la monitorización del entrenamiento de fuerza, por la posibilidad de utilizar el Velocity-Based Training, ¿vale? Pues si tenemos feedback, no hace falta hacer un test todos los días, pero sí que puedes tener esa información a diario. Y por último, y esto sí me gustaría destacarlo, tener la posibilidad o la intención de educar a los jugadores en esa dinámica de trabajo. Es decir, que ellos sientan que lo que se hace sirve para tomar decisiones y que por tanto eso es una parte del entrenamiento que tienen que tomarse o que tiene su importancia más allá de, bueno, pues de lo que está acostumbrado. Vienen, nos testean, no nos dicen y esto termina así. Con lo cual, resumiendo, analizar la cultura de rendimiento, utilizar herramientas de testeo que se puedan implementar fácilmente diariamente, que no generen fatiga ni malas sensaciones, y tercero, capacidad de convencer a los jugadores de que eso se utiliza para la toma de decisiones.
Okay, then as I understand, I will try to make a mix with Manu and also trying to translate the Miguel Angel words, is trying to, using GPS technology, for example, of other technologies, you are reading the important data for you because you know the demands of the game and you understand perfectly. For example, it's only an example, the number of sprints is a relevant data and another one could not be. Then, reading this one, you are trying to use this number to compare with the real demands of the game, and in case one player is going, is doing more sprint, for example, you are adapting the load of the training session for this player, and in the opposite side, if he's doing low number of sprints, you can adapt to be more to do more sprints during the training session, for example. Then also Miguel Angel is saying so interesting things about the culture of the club, because when you arrive to a club, you need to understand perfectly what are they doing the last seasons, what are they doing with the previous coach, for example, and then try to adapt as much as you can, and using only the test you can apply in the real day. It's not using test only to go to a paper or so, no, only the tests who are not doing a lot of fatigue with the players, and you can use as a real manner. And finally, it's so interesting, this part, it's how to educate the players. So interesting because I think in the soccer game, there are many players during a lot of seasons are doing a lot of things, training sessions. They are doing squats, but they don't know why they are doing squats, for example. Then it's so important to explain them or to teach them, okay, you are doing that to that. That's so important, I think so. And it's an interesting approach with the sports science and the fitness coach world. Okay, then trying to complete this circle is, okay, which special exercise for physical conditioning as part of overall preparation for athletes in different levels are you using a lot? Give me a few examples or something like that.
Clearly, it is really easy, the answer. Just playing football. Playing football all day. This is so important. Sometimes when we develop our freaky parties, okay, in which we call it like this because we are so friends and with other friends and colleagues that we meet, okay, and we discuss about different issues related, like today we are doing, okay. It appears this question, no? But at the end, it is very important, and this is what we understand. It is the first thing that I have introduced, that we are fitness coaches, that we need to be close to the pitch, close to the player, close to the staff, to the coach, okay? Because the more important element that we can use always in any case, it is playing football. Different drills, different combination spaces, times of intervention, different number of players, different rules for those drills, different utilization of those drills during the session, how we progress or regress all along different weeks, so different training periodization models, okay? This is the first tool we need to be able to master. And after that, at the same time, we need to be able to combine it with other approaches, the gym or extra, but the more important thing is to be able to understand the game and during matches, but also during training session. And knowing that we have the 95% of what it is more important, we got it. This 5% extra, then we can add with other things. But if we are able to manage properly what is happening on the game, basically it's done. It's done, basically. Logically, the other extra allows you to arrive to other higher levels of performance and all related with injury reduction and all that stuff. But basically, is that.
Okay, then.
Sí, en mi opinión, Jan, sí, por añadir algo y bueno, seguir con este tema. Yo creo que al final hay que llegar a lo básico, que es lo que sucede en el juego a nivel de motricidad. ¿Qué es lo que sucede? Sucede que hay que acelerar, hay que decelerar, hay que reacelerar, hay que cambiar de dirección y hay que llegar a altas velocidades en momentos puntuales del juego. Y con todo eso es lo que se intenta, al final en la base de la programación de los juegos reducidos, es modificar el espacio y el número de jugadores para que esos 5 componentes, acelerar, frenar, reacelerar, cambiar de dirección y trabajar a alta velocidad, se dé con una mayor o menor participación de alguno de ellos. Entonces, de ahí todo eso, evidentemente, en un ambiente o en un contexto de toma de decisiones, que es lo que te permite el trabajo de fútbol. Evidentemente, luego lo que se haga en el gym, en el gimnasio, también será para acelerar, reacelerar, decelerar, etcétera, etcétera, etcétera. Pero creo que al final el tema de la elección de espacio, número de jugadores y demás, va enfocado todo a esos patrones básicos de movimiento que son los que demanda el fútbol en sí.
Okay, then it's so important outside the gym to be as realistic as we can and try to understand the game and what's happening in the game. Miguel Ángel, you are telling there are 5 factors that are so important. It's accelerating, decelerating, change of direction, reaccelerating, and the last is
high speed sprint.
And high speed sprint. Okay, then with these 5 factors, you are trying to understand what's happening in the game and trying to get the feedback of the players and mix it up in the field. That's so important to understand, because you are all the time talking about it's so important to be on the field, to put the eyes what's happening and not only be on the gym and it's my place, my palace, and I'm only working here. No, it's first on the field, and then if you can do many things in the gym, okay, it's perfect. Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, then we are in the 10 minutes finals. And I would like to talk about the balance of the training load in case, for example, of an injury or in the moment when the player is trying to play again on their returning to play. How are you managing this aspect?
Look, we again are combining the knowledge of a specific methodology of readaptation, okay, of rehab, with the knowledge of the use of specific technology in order to propose different progressions choosing the proper drills, exercises, and progressive introduction to the cause of the game, okay, in order to progress not just with the physical and fitness specificity of the activity, but also with the specific decision making that he needs to have, and also his approach, his mental approach, and his social activity, etc. All that it's he needs, the player needs, in order to properly introduce again or reintroduce again to the game of training, and later on to the game of performance during the game.
Okay, then you are talking about mental training. It's so important in that aspect. And here we can link that we are saying before about how to educate the players to know his body, to know his feelings. Yeah.
Exactly. That's it. At the end, we actually, from some years ago, we know the big importance that it has, the mental factors for all that it is related with performance, but also with pain and readaptation and rehabilitation. Okay. So we need to manage the player not just as a player, okay, not just logically not as a machine, okay, but also as a person. So we need to be able to approach each player individually and not just on the much more professional side of this injury, okay, but also on his personal side. We need to know how he's behaving, how he feels with his family, with his relationship, with everything, because everything is affecting the way he returns to train or to play again. So this approach is so important, and this also arises the big importance that it has, the possibility of integrate information and data from different sources, not just from the strength and conditioning or the fitness coaches as us, for example, but also with the medical staff, with the management, with the psychologists, biomechanists, etc. Not just to have it all, keep it safe in a laptop, let's say, but also to be able to discuss in an integrative manner, in a positive manner, in order to help as much as possible this return to train and return to play of each player when unfortunately they are injured.
Okay, thank you.
En ese sentido, Jan, y en la línea de lo que anteriormente comenté, yo creo que el momento de la lesión es un momento muy complicado para un jugador, pero es un momento excelente para aprovecharlo en la educación del jugador. Es decir, nosotros en el gimnasio, por ejemplo, normalmente estamos atendiendo a 20 o 25 personas, normalmente un preparador físico o dos como mucho, y es muy difícil corregir, dar feedback de ejecuciones y demás. Ese momento de readaptación creo que es magnífico para, primero, aprender a ejecutar bien determinado tipo de ejercicio, conocer las cargas que tienes que gestionar, aprender a adquirir rutinas que probablemente no las tiene el jugador, como son de activaciones, de vuelta a la calma y evidentemente luego de programas preventivos, de prevención secundaria, una vez que el jugador se ha lesionado. Por lo cual, en ese tema educativo, cuando se trabaja uno con uno, un readaptador con un jugador, creo que es un momento magnífico para meter al jugador en esa dinámica de línea de rendimiento.
So interesting this point with Miguel Ángel about a catastrophic moment with the injury of a player who can be used as a interesting or used properly to teach the player then how to feel the body, to understand what's happening, to understand all the things can improve, or in the opposite side, not do benefits in the body of the player, and also during the process of the rehab, okay, to teach properly the skills or how to develop any different exercise they can do. It's so interesting, this point, okay, because many injuries are, okay, only 1 month, 2 months, but there are injuries who are more than 6 or 8 months, and there is a big trip with the player, and about the confidence with the fitness coach and also the player. Then to finish the discussion, let me talk about now. Today we are gonna, or these days, are gonna close the transfer market. And okay, if a player is moving for La Liga to Premier League, or in the opposite side, Premier League or Ligue 1 from France to La Liga, how are you approaching to this player about what they was doing in the previous club and now is adapting to the culture of the new club?
We take the phone, we take our phone, we take the contacts or friends, colleagues, and try to approach to his previous strength and conditioning fitness coach or assistant coach or whoever that can help us to better understand those loads or the way he acts, how he feels, what he likes, he don't, and also apart from that, we try to get some specific data from games, if possible, or also training data if it is available. That usually it is not, but sometimes, and actually, that we try to develop also not only our professional side but also our relationship side with some colleagues. We can help us to all together in those situations. Logically, it is complicated sometimes because, and also apart from that, we the first thing we do is to talk with the player when he arrives, okay, and talk with him and ask him about everything, his previous, his injuries, history, his characteristics, and everything that any sort of information that can help us to better figure out what is his actual situation, in order to better approach the prescription we need to use with him.
So interesting. And sometimes it's too easy to take the phone and try to only ask me. that's easy. Okay, yeah. But so interesting, and I would like to communicate you the very thanks of the organizations of the conclave. It's so important for us to have expertise of the most important strengths and conditioning players of the football world, and trying to make a little abstract of we talk about so important going to structural extent to functional during the season, and try to individualize as many as you can, trying to understand the main or the collective idea, but then moving to the individual. Then, so interesting the concepts of Miguel Ángel about the culture of the club, trying to understand the culture of the club, to use the test who you can apply a lot during the season, and finally introducing a concept who was so transversal to the meeting. It's about educate the players or teach the players to understand their body, to understand the skills, to understand the execution or the benefits or doing anything you are trying to inform them. And then finally, you talk about the mental approach for people or for the player who are injured. Then thank you very much, Manu. Thank you very much, Miguel Ángel. I hope you have a great season. All the best for FC Barcelona Academy, Manu. All the best for Cádiz this season in La Liga, Miguel Ángel. And let's keep in touch. And